And as final preparations get underway for former Deputy President David Mabuza, our colleagues spent across Mpumalanga to capture this moment. And we have in Mbombela, Natasha Phiri. We also have in Barberton, Tumelo Machogo, who's also monitoring the developments on that side, as you can see on both blocks. But we'll first go to Natasha Phiri, who'll tell us where she is and where the proceedings are heading to, I suppose, where Tumelo is at this moment. Natasha, over to you.
I had reported earlier on that the body of the late former Deputy President David Mabuza is expected to be transported to his home in Barberton. Of course, momentum is building up here outside the B3 services where his body is being kept, and those who are dear to him, Diabo, have also started coming in. Before I go to Pulo Mbatsani, let me just go to the Provincial Secretary of the ANC in the province, a man that we've been seeing and we've been speaking to all week, Ubab Muzichira. Thank you so much for joining us, Babchira. I think first and foremost, I think people would want to know perhaps how you're feeling personally right now at this moment. I mean, it's dawning in clearly that this may be or is the final ride of the late Deputy President back to his home.
As we're working to prepare for the send-off of the Deputy President, sometimes we also lie to ourselves to say probably things may change. But for the fact that we are here, it's a clear indication that indeed it's a time for us to really accept that, painful as it is, that the DP is late, and we must be assured that we send him off in a manner in which it is befitting his stature.
We also do understand that the ANC Youth League has also organized a guard of honor that will take place, I think, across the R36 from Barberton at 2 o'clock. Just tell us about the logistics in regards to that, and later on that church service that will be held at the late former Deputy President's home.
Yes, the guard of honor is prepared by the ANC with all the leagues and the alliance. We are planning to have the first session of it at the exit of the R40 towards the TUT, and then at the T-junction of the R40 and R38 towards the homestead of the former DP. That is it that we have planned as a manner in which we show our love and our salute to him.
And talking about showing your love and your salute, yesterday the chairperson of SANCO in the province, Mr. Vusi Shongwe, had said that, you know, in memory of Mabuza, he was a man of unity. He'd wanted all the alliance partners to go together to the polls. He had said, and he had pledged his support, that they as SANCO will be supporting the ANC, and this is at the back foot of the SACP saying that they'll go alone at the elections.
This is our expectation, that collective as the alliance, in honor of Comrade David Mabuza, who loved all of us and worked with all of us collectively, we must continue to live together. In as much as the party is having its own resolution, but we still are discussing the fact that we must go to the 2026 local government election as a unity, so that we are able to secure the state power.
Babchira, let's just park it here for now. As before I go to Puloso, just Diaba, what you're seeing right now, viewers, is that those are the cars of the family, and of course the cortege where the body of the late former Deputy President is expected to be transported in. They've just arrived here outside the B3 services in Mbombela, and of course from here will be transported to his family home. And as we speak over the visuals, I just want to bring in Pulo Mbatsani. For those who don't know, he was a former ANC youth leaguer when David Mabuza, or the late former Deputy President, was still the premier of Mpumalanga, one who was actually close to the late former Deputy President. Pulo, condolences to you and the family. I know that you were close to the late former Deputy President, and now, like the Provincial Secretary has been saying, it's now sinking in.
Look, indeed, looking at this entourage of cars, the heirs here now to collect the cold body of the former Deputy President and the provincial chairperson of the ANC. It is indeed dawning. Reality is indeed kicking in. Look, to us, it is a painful reality because we had a father in Comrade David Mabuza. We had a brother, we had an uncle, he was everything to us. And we are really at pains, because of everything that we've taken from him, most importantly, the wisdom that he shared with us, his values, his principles, his morals. Those are the things that we hold dear to our hearts, and all the memories that we have of him, whether personally or in the African National Congress, where he spent most of his time. So really, there's not much, we can say, apart from saying that, we will release him so that he may find eternal peace wherever he is, But we know that the gods of heaven are indeed waiting for him. A person like Mabuza does not come very often. I often liken his being and his persona to those of the Bible, people that come once after a very long time. And his work will speak for himself. We are not going to defend things that we don't know about him, but what we are going to hold dear to our hearts and continue to uphold is the values and the principles that he continued to uphold while he was still alive, while he was still with us.
And actually, as you're speaking, we just saw the of the ANC, Mr. Mandla Ndlovu, as well as the Premier actually walking in, as well as his brother there, Tumelo Machogo, the family also arriving here. Polosho, you speak about a personal relationship. I mean, just talk us through that. You were quite a vocal supporter of David Mabuza through the good and the bad times.
Look, Mabuza was a human being, before being a leader of the ANC. He's first and foremost, a natural being before he can ascend to any throne or position for that matter. So, like I said earlier, we felt a fatherly love from Mabuza. We felt the kind of love that some of us did not feel in our own homes. Some of us are fortunate to still have our own fathers who are still alive. But I know of many who do not have fathers, and they found a father in Mabuza, and listening to the people yesterday at the memorial service reminded me actually of the true character of who Mabuza was really, and I think those stories speak for themselves. But personally, I would say, this man is more than just a leader. To me, I would say to me he's more than just a leader of the ANC, because I was able to have time, to have the privilege to spend time with him out of the space of the organization, out of his formal spaces, and that to me are memories that I could continue to hold dear for as long as I live. Thank you.
We heard him being described as a man of unity, a man that brought everybody together, who also spoke out against the demon of factionalism. I mean, he himself had said that at one point he was entrenched in factionalism, but realized that he was part of the problem. Let's speak about David Mabuza as a man who was described as advocating for land reform, and this is something that the ANC Youth League had been fighting for.
Look, indeed, Mabuza was a true unifier. He did not just speak of unity, and he did not just advocate for cosmetic unity. He spoke of true actual unity, one where, there'd be hegemony, there'd be true unity, and really, in the true sense of the organization. So, he did not just speak about it, in big English, he lived it, and he died with his conviction up until his last days, With regards to land reform, we've heard a lot of stories being said yesterday at the memorial service again. I think the Deputy President, Comrade Paul Mashatile, touched extensively on that. How he touched traditional leaders across the country when he ascended to office as Deputy President of the country. How he touched, the question of land reform, things that were very, very dear to his heart. Because, we always say that there is no dignity greater than that of owning a land or a piece of land. And Mabuza really understood that. And he did not just understand it, but he lived it by ensuring that he speaks to the relevant people, be it government departments, whether it's local tier of government, regional tier or provincial tier of government, including the traditional leaders themselves. He's stood on it up until his last days, and those of us who were with him can really attest that he did not just speak about it, but he lived it. And we have seen how massive rural development programs were rolled out during Mabuza's tenure. We've seen massive infrastructure development projects being rolled out during DT Mabuza's tenure. We can count a number of clinics, a number of hospitals. We can speak of state-of-the-art schools. We can speak of, schools of disabled. We can speak of scholar transport. We can speak of many things that he did. He did not just touch young people, women, or the elderly. He went across board. He just wanted to know who has a problem, and he did not just end there. He went deep and made sure that that problem is indeed attended to.
So, a lot of people also know him as the cat, but I don't think a lot of our viewers know that he was also known as the hurricane amongst the teaching profession. I was listening to an interview by one Satu leader, and he had said that when he served as a principal, he would give these passionate speeches before iskolo masicala, And I think personally, when you relate to him, yes, you've outlined the good. The likes of Mandla Msibis had said that he had a father-son relationship with him, as well as Ronald Lamola, and so is you. But perhaps tell us of the times where he scolded you.
Well, Mabuza was a very stern but soft character, and he wasn't a man of many words, as you've heard from many people who have been speaking about him. And more often than not, he would speak not really in parables, but in figures of speech. And those who understood Mabuza would know that Mabuza is angry now or is not angry. But like I said earlier, I can only wonder, because I was not there when he was a teacher. But I can only imagine that Mabuza was naturally a nurturer. He was a groomer. And it doesn't come as a surprise that he's got such a big character, and he's got love, particularly for young people, because it comes from that particular area of his life, that he's a teacher by profession. And being a teacher, you must be patient with people, you must be a nurturer, you must be able to identify potential and groom it. And that is the qualities that Mabuza held in him, that many of us lack. Mabuza is able to identify potential where all of us have shunned it, and because of his ability of, first and foremost, of being a psychologist, but also because of his attributes of being a teacher, So I'm really not surprised that his character, was composed of all these elements that are so great, and that is why when we speak of him, we speak of a giant, we speak of a hero, we speak of a father, we speak of a king that we never had, because to us he is a king, we never had a king, but that is our king. And like I said earlier, I'm a very spiritual person also, and I've been saying it, and I will continue to say it, that Mabuza is one who was given to us by the gods. Not an ordinary person, extraordinary in nature and character. And I don't think that we'll ever witness a character like that for as long as we live. Maybe our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren will get to witness as such, like the others who have witnessed. The Muslims speak of Muhammad, others speak of Abraham, others speak of Moses. We are not likening Mabuza to a saint. Yeah. We're not saying Mabuza had no faults, we had no errors, or flaws. But we are saying, his love and his care and his passion for his people was so greater that even if there were mistakes or flaws in his character, you couldn't even pick them up.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those moments. of the late former Deputy President David Mabuza. Of course, that was Pulosho Batsani. Those who know him know that he served in the ANC Youth League leadership here in Mpumalanga during the tenure of the late former Deputy President David Mabuza when he was ANC chair in Mpumalanga. For now, let's just park it here. We do understand that our colleague Tumelo Machogo is outside the family home in Barberton.
Absolutely, Tumelo is outside the family home. Tumelo, will hand it over to you.
Well, indeed, Diabo, family members, actually also some of the mourners are starting to arrive here. You understand that the rehearsal have been taking place of the military. They're doing their own parade to rehearse what is going to be happening once the body is arriving here at the family home in Barberton. There's already a guard of honor that is starting from Mbombela all the way into Barberton, but also we understand that also the R38 road linking Barberton and Bart Plus have already been closed by the military for this process, so that they can allow the military to do their own preparation, but also to allow the families, when they coming from Nelspruit with the body of Mr. Mabuza, to actually come into the family home. But let's quickly speak to the spokesperson of the ANC, national spokesperson of the ANC, Maybe just talk to us about the reflection of this day and also of Mr. Mabuza as the ANC.
Thank you very much. As you would know, that yesterday we held 3 memorial services across the length and breadth of our Mpumalanga province, and with the main memorial being held at the birthplace of our former Deputy President. And today it's a very somber moment because we're coming to reality and to terms with his passing. We have been reliably informed that his body has already there at the morgue, and that there will be then a movement towards the homestead of the Mabuza family. So it is really a moment where we reckon with reality. We've already seen a lot of fine pageantry by the soldiers in our nation coming to pay respects to the former Deputy President of the ANC, but more importantly, former Deputy President of South Africa. It is that moment. Countless and countless people have descended on the province of Mpumalanga in order to come and pay their respects at a state funeral, category 2 funeral tomorrow. And so it is that moment where our members, our leaders in the province, joined by ourselves from different provinces as well as the ANC at the national level, are here to come and receive the son of the people of Mpumalanga and receive him with the decency and the decorum that is required of somebody of his stature.
And also, not only reflecting on his life, but also, today also such a summer mode, especially for the family. How are they holding up, especially the wife? We saw their family members actually leaving just after 1 o'clock, going to the family.
No, absolutely.
You know what? We're going to have to stop there. Let's go to Natasha Phiri. She is in Mbombela, where the body is expected to leave the mortuary right now. Natasha?
Okay, they're coming to us. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Tumelo. What you're seeing now, there's movement. The body of the late former Deputy President will be coming out right now out of the B3 services. And of course, as SABC News, we will be tracking, the body. So I think let me just step out of shot, Diabo. Tabo will give you the visuals as I actually walk to the van and track what we're currently seeing right now through the tracking van. And of course, this as the body of the late former Deputy President will then be going to his home in Barberton. Diabo. Of course, we spoke to the provincial secretary of the ANC in Mpumalanga, as well as Pulisho Mbatsani, who's a former youth leaguer, and I mean, just sharing their experiences, that it is only now seeing that the late former deputy president is more. To some, he was known as a person who was passionate about education. Others, he was known as a person who championed land reform, especially for the people here in Mpumalanga. Some knew him as the cat, some knew him as the hurricane because of the speeches he would give to his students.
It was Natasha Phiri that has been speaking over the visuals. What you're currently seeing on your screens is that we are expecting that at any moment now the vehicle, as you can see, leaving the premises of B3, which is Batho Bakopani, the service provider that is taking the body of the former Deputy President David Mabuza, seen as his last ride home to Barberton, where it is now. It's currently in Mbombela. The escortage is leaving. Our team is stationed in both places, both in Mbombela and Tumelo Machogo. My colleague is out there in Barberton, where the funeral is going to be taking place in Barberton at Hoërskool Bergvlam. Tomorrow, and we understand that the Mabuza family will also have their own private burial service there. And obviously, the former Deputy President Mabuza will be accorded a state funeral category 2. This category of a state funeral is different in that we are currently in mourning, and during this time where the president has already declared that there is national mourning in all government buildings and state buildings, there is a half-mast a flag flying at half-mast that is accorded during this time. And in this category, the remains do not lie. The remains do not lie in state, as you could see that they are being transported currently to Barberton, and we understand that there's the family waiting there, and Tumelo Machogo will be taking us there to understand what the process is going to be. We'll be speaking to different role players who were in the life of the former deputy president. We've heard from people who knew him very closely about the kind of person that he was, you know, the teacher that he was. It is unfortunate that it is during this time when a person has passed on that you learn more about them and their contribution through their loved ones. I hope we do have Natasha back, who will take us through of the proceedings. Natasha is stationed at Mbombela, where the body is currently leaving the premises of B3 heading to Barberton. Let's check if Natasha is with us.
We're currently in our tracking event, just tracking the body of the late former Deputy President David Mabuza, which is in Barberton, which is about 23 minutes away. And of course, like you said earlier on, we've got our colleague Tumelo Machogo, who is actually situated at the station outside the family home. But of course, I mean, this entire week we've been seeing various people, various politicians across all boards, from the ANC, from the EFF. I recall how the Deputy President of the EFF, Mr. Bodrich, was actually addressing members of the outside his family home. And of course, this describing Mr. Mabuza also having a close relationship with him, saying that he actually taught Mr. Gadi how to fish, Diabo, you know. Others have described that politics. He was actually a talented soccer player, for those who didn't know. Others described him as a very nurturing and a father to them, and a lot of speakers have been saying that this is a person that actually groomed them, but not only in politics but values as well. As you know, for those then a school principal, and we just heard from Mbombela that he actually started was a psychologist, as well. So these are just some of, the sentiments that have been coming through various people at Diabo. But this is as I talk to you, and we will continue bringing these visuals as we escort his body into Barberton.
Before we went to Natasha, Tumelo Machogo was in conversation with Mahlengu Bengimutsiri about the proceedings that are happening in Barberton. Tumelo, over to you.
Diabo, actually now they say cortege are now expected to arrive at any moment now here in Barberton at the family home of David Mabuza, of the former deputy president of the country and of that of the ANC. And members of the ANC are also actually lining up the roads from Mbombela on the R40 all the way into the R38, heading into the Mabuza home. And also when the families arrived here, they will arrive at this gate where I'm standing, and then they will go inside. We're expecting that around 4 o'clock. That's when, around 6 o'clock rather, that's when they're going to have a church service for about 2 hours until 8 o'clock. And then they will have, the church service will be over tomorrow morning. Around 8 o'clock, the family is expected to leave here to go to the stadium at Berglam in Berglam High School in Mbombela. That's where the funeral is going to be held. After that, the family, they will come back here in Barberton where they will bury Mr. Mabuza. Let me bring back again Ms. Mahlengu Bengimutsiri just to talk again about the life and times of Mr. Mabuza. You worked with him for a number of years. Let's talk about not him as the man that was known as a teacher and a man that known as loving education and loving the traditional leaders, but let's talk about what he was like in the offices and like when you guys, there were no cameras and it was just quiet.
Very laid back and very affable. Something that is often lost to the narrative in South Africa. Very, very short on words and very practical as well. I think that those of us who had a chance to experience David Mabuza, even before he was the Deputy President of the ANC and that of the country, will attest to his commitment to education first and foremost. We've received so many testimonies during this past week from many people, young people in Mpumalanga, some of whom are at the University of Mpumalanga, which itself was his brainchild, a testament to his commitment to education in this province. So I would say that it's really, really very short on speak and very tall on the deeds that he did. And there's no better way to test if a person, a man or a woman, has lived long enough to impact some. You can't impact everyone, but to impact others. And the testimony of that is here in this province, is here in Barberton, in Hazyview, in Paula, the various parts of the province where the young people have come forward to say, today I'm a graduate. I was forced to go to school and not to relent and not to give up, thanks to the contribution of this man. And so this afternoon we will be paying tribute to him through song, through prayer, invoking the higher power to basically enable his soul to repose in perfect peace. And we will continue with the work that he has required, that it be continued, particularly ensuring that the African National Congress renews itself and that the African National Congress renews itself on the back of a strong unity drive. And when we look back at what he's contributed, we will recall how he broke very serious stalemates in the life of the ANC, a very big movement that required wisdom to be able to deal with difficult matters in our organizational life. And we will be remembered for having been that foremost individual that took some very unusual decisions in order to secure unity in the ANC. And I don't think that this is something that ought to be taken lightly.
And also, when the body arrives at any moment now, it will go inside. There will obviously be a prayer service, but also there's going to be a night visual that is going to be held for about 2 hours. Talk to me about who is expected to be here in terms of the ANC leadership tonight, and who are going to be joining in with that prayer service that is going to be held for about 2 hours.
Well, we will be joined by the Secretary General of the ANC, part of the Guard of Honor, as well as part of the program there at the Marquee, and also part of the interactions with the family when they have received the body of the deceased, a moment that is often very difficult for any family. We would also have the leadership of the ANC, National Executive Committee members. The ANC have already descended on Mpumalanga. The leadership of our tripartite alliance is already here. A lot of eminent persons and veterans and stalwarts of our liberation struggle are already descending on Mpumalanga ahead of the funeral service that takes place tomorrow. You have young people that have been stationed here for the longest of time, and today is one of those days where they are going to be, if you like, sealing it in saying that we know this man, we lived with him, we lived under his tutelage, we know what he's assisted us with as young people, propelling us to learn and learn and learn so that we can lead society into the future. The women, you would have seen Omanyano, women coming out in amazing numbers to testify about what they know of David Mabuza. And so you are going to be having the largest family of the African National Congress. The ANC alone can fill up any space, by the way. But more importantly, it is the people of Mpumalanga that are important at this point. They saw him grow up where he was born in Pola. They saw him grow up. Those are the people that have a lot to share, more than even the organized structures of the ANC can do.
Any former presidents, and have you heard anything from outside the country? We know that, like Eswatini, even the king was here yesterday. Just talk to us about who else are we expecting, and also we know you guys as the ANC work with other political parties just outside South Africa. Talk to us who else is coming from neighboring countries, even from across the African continent.
Well, I will. The protocol team is currently just reconciling the invitations and the confirmations that we have received. Of course, we have not invited anyone. We have, simply because a funeral, you don't invite people. But we have had a lot of interest, and as you rightly point out, some have come throughout the week. Those who couldn't make the funeral, but they came to pay their respects. I will read out the detail of who is confirmed, who's for the purposes of media reporting, sometime this afternoon after the Guard of Honor has taken place. For now, we're just focusing on him having left the mortuary on his way here, and we're just focusing on ensuring that he is received with the dignity that such an occasion requires.
And also, Mayor, we have to go back to the family, how they spoke so fondly about their father. How are they holding up, the children in particular?
I think it's a very difficult moment for the family, as it would happen even in your family if you were facing such a moment. But I think the Mabuza family have demonstrated a lot of grit and a lot of courage during this past week. We've had the family attesting to the fact that this guy belonged to us, but we also know he belonged to the African National Congress. He slept, he ate, and he dreamt African National Congress. So they're going through a very difficult moment. We can't possibly imagine, because we're not in their shoes. But they know that they are not alone in this. They know they've been expressing a lot of gratitude for the fact that this homestead has been bars of activity, good activity, people coming to condole with the family, but also young comrades coming to sing and basically eulogize David Mabuza in song as well as in prayer.
And also that's what is going to be happening also just after he comes in here. The church service is going to take place. Just take us through again that of the church service. Who's expected to speak? Who's expected also to render services there?
Well, certainly it's a thing that belongs to the chaplaincy of the ANC. So if the national chaplain, who's been here throughout, but if the national chaplain hasn't arrived, we've got a very strong team of ANC chaplains in this province. They will carry the service. Leaders of the ANC Women's League leaders, ANC Youth League leaders, COSATU leaders, party leaders, and all of them will be part of the service together with our people, together with the family. And it is that type of thing where you're really just trying to bandage the wounds, knowing very well that it's not permanent, but it is so that the family can get through or get over the challenges of tomorrow, of seeing their loved ones and their coffin being lowered. And so the service is going to be that kind of a service where it's a celebration of a life well lived. It is also a way of supporting the family and protecting and caring, covering the family during such a difficult time.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That was the ANC spokesperson speaking to us there about the life and times of Mr. Mabuza. Now the R38 has been open. I think they're opening up for traffic so that the traffic can flow quickly, so that when the body is coming, the road can be closed yet again, so it can allow the family and also the military services to actually start doing their thing, to actually come back here and start going back into the family home where the church service is going to be held. And also tonight at around 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock, that church service is expected to take place here at the family home. Diabo.
Tumelo, thank you so much. The SABC News will be keeping you abreast of the developments that are happening and where that cortege currently is, as well as every other everything that's going to be happening with the vigil right through to the funeral and the burial tomorrow.